There's a pretty one, Ulysses. There it is.
Hello BookTube, I'm Sean the Book Maniac. Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another book haul. Let's get started. You know the drill. I show you what I got. If the first sentence or the first paragraph has some kind of standalone vitality, I will share that with you. But just because I don't doesn't mean I think any less of the book or am any less excited to try the book at some point. Some books start with a sentence or paragraph like that and some don't. First up, in no particular order, is my very first Jean Rhys novel. I recently acquired a collected short fiction book of hers, but this is my first novel. After leaving Mr. Mackenzie, one of her lesser-known works, because I had never heard of it. Does the fact that I never heard of it necessarily mean it's lesser-known? I think so. Correct me if I'm wrong. Somebody was talking about it on Twitter, and I snatched it up. Originally published 1931. That's my period, people. It is set in Paris, and the protagonist, Julia Martin, is at the end of her rope. Say no more, I'm in! Let's listen to the opening paragraph. I quite like the sound of it. After she had parted from Mr. Mackenzie, Julia Martin went to live in a cheap hotel on the Quai de Grand Augustins. I don't know how you pronounce that. The Quai de Grand Augustins. It looked a low-down sort of place, and the staircase smelt of the landlady's cats, but the rooms were cleaner than you would have expected. There were 3 cats, white Angoras, and they seemed usually to be sleeping in the hotel bureau. I subscribe to the bookish podcast, what is its name? Other People, PPL, Other People, with Brad Listy. I have trouble with his voice. And I'm still working on getting past the trouble I have with his voice. He sounds... I just don't like his voice. But he does do a really great author interview, and his podcast is exclusively author interviews, and pretty much exclusively, as far as I am aware, new releases. And so I subscribe to him, but I don't listen to him very often because I just haven't gotten past his voice. I mean, I think a lot of people would think... His voice actually sounds kind of sexy, but it just doesn't match kind of what he's talking about. I don't know. That's my issue. Never mind. That's another topic for another video. But I listen to podcasts. I cycle through my podcasts while I'm sleeping. It helps me stay asleep or at least fall asleep. And so one episode came up where he interviewed the author of this novel. The novel is Temporary, and the author is...
I'm Hilary Leichter. I am not...
Okay, Hilary Leichter. I just heard the author say her own name. Hilary Leichter. And the novel is Temporary. It's a new release this year, and I fell in love with her listening to the interview. I'll put a link to the interview in the show notes underneath the entry for the book. The book doesn't necessarily sound like a Sean book, but listening to her, I liked her. I know that doesn't always translate into that I like the book, but it does sound fun. So it's set in the workplace, a young woman's workplace, and she is a temporary. And I was a Kelly girl for many years. She fills increasingly bizarre placements, and it gets quite madcap. Hilarious and profound. So we'll see. And look at that cover, hey? What the hell? Let's read the opening paragraph. This is the opening paragraph maybe of the first full chapter. I have a shorthand kind of career. Short tasks, short stays, short skirts. My temp agency is an uptown pleasure dome of powder-scented women in sensible shoes. As is customary, I place my employment in their manicured hands. With trusty carpal alchemy, they knead my resume into a series of paychecks that constitute a life. The calls come on Mondays and Fridays, flanking each week with ephemeral placements. Like clockwork, like something sturdier than time, the agency allots my existence. After I prove reliably discreet and efficient, I am sent to various priority clients. Personal assistant jobs, jobs assisting with personal things. There is nothing more personal than doing your job. Something I read on a granola bar wrapper on my way to work. It's a sentiment strong enough on which to hang my heart and purpose. Well, I love that, so I hope to get to this book sooner rather than later. It's going to be very nostalgic for me because I did, like I say, I was a secretarial temp. I was a Kelly girl for many years. I could tell you stories, but you have to buy me dinner first. Speaking of new releases, I did decide to purchase this before Adam of Memento Mori's tweet, but if I hadn't already purchased it, I sure as hell would have after I saw it. I picked up Luster by Raven Leilani, the newest sexy novel that has come out of the US in recent weeks by an African American writer, and it is about kind of menage a trois relationship or something. This is her first novel. And I listened to the first 5 minutes on audio when I was hooked, but I didn't want to do it on audio. So I might do it as an audio-text combo. The audiobook's on Scribd. Look at that cover. Yeah, it's about some kind of kinky, sexual something or other. Don't want to know any more details than that. So let's hear this skanky first paragraph, shall we? The first time we have sex, we are both fully clothed, at our desks during working hours, bathed in blue computer light. He is uptown, processing a new bundle of microfiche, and I am downtown, handling corrections for a new Labrador detective manuscript. He tells me what he ate for lunch and asks if I can manage to take off my underwear in my cubicle without anyone noticing. His messages come with impeccable punctuation. He is fond of words like taste and spread. The empty text field is full of possibilities. Of course, I worry about IT remoting into my computer, or my internet history warranting yet another disciplinary meeting with HR, but the risk, the thrill of a third pair of unseen eyes. The idea that someone in the office, with that sweet post-lunch break optimism, might come across the thread and see how tenderly Eric and I have built this private world. Oh my. Okay, the problem with buying French novels is I gotta look up the pronunciation of the author and the novel and keep all of it in my brain so I can tell you about it without making a fool of myself.
Thérèse Desqueraux by François Moury.
Therese Damn it.
That book is Thérèse Desqueraux by
Therese Desqueraux by François Mauriac. How did I do? Did my best. A slim little novella. I have never read anything by him. Somebody was talking about it on Twitter, and I was quite taken with the cover, even though it might be a movie tie-in. I don't know. Translated from the French by Gerard Hopkins. Originally published in 1927. Yeah, it's not a new novel, and it is about a woman who walks free after being acquitted from the trial where she was accused of poisoning her husband, killing him. Okay, well, here is a non-fiction book, and this is about how much the police suck. Unwarranted Policing Without Permission by Barry Friedman. The biggest kind of social political awakening of 2020 for me is how much the police as an institution suck and need to be defunded, if not abolished. And I want to read more about it so that I can argue with my relatives and my friends with more knowledge. So this has to do with stuff that came out under Snowden, the Snowden leaks, and stuff around the Ferguson. So it's more American-centered, so it's not necessarily where I would want to start, but it looks like it has a lot of important information. Barry Friedman is a law professor. And here is an enigmatic little book that I bought. And in fact, I bought 2 copies, and I sent one to Dan of the Weird Book Club. And I'm hoping he and I might, if we both end up being interested enough to read this book and finish it, to do some kind of a collaboration like we have done in the past. This is a book of gay-themed prose poems by a not Swish, that was a Freudian slip, by a Swiss poet that I had never heard of. His name is Gustave Rude. How do you pronounce that?
Gustave Roux est avant tout connu pour...
Oh, it's so fast, but I think it's Gustave Rude. Maybe the D is a little silent. Anyway, maybe somebody can help me out. A gay poet who wrote... These are gay-themed homoerotic prose poems that he wrote. He died in 1976 as an old man, and of course it was a bit of a cover by. He died in 1976 and he was about 80. Swiss poet and photographer. His writing is described as neo-romantic. He also translated German writers into French. Translated from the French by Alexander Dickow and Sean T. Reynolds. And it's two collections, Air of Solitude, followed by Requiem. They're called poetry, but they look like this on the page. If you Google his name, there's all kinds of stuff on the web, including YouTube, of his homoerotic photography. But this is all that I would get in the book. So I don't know much about it. It's put out by Seagull Books, which is an Indian publishing company that publishes an amazing amount of translated literature from countries that I'd never heard of their works being translated into English until Seagull Books did them, and this is one like that I just stumbled upon, and the cover drew me in, and now I've got it. The opening poem is Prayer for a Stain Upon the Eyes, and this is what it looks like on the page. I will try to replicate it so it doesn't look like a poem, but apparently it is. Prayer for a Stain Upon the Eyes. Now that is a beautiful title for a poem. Oh my God. Speak aloud the name of the person and say, if you have the stain, the Lord unstains you. If it is white, let it be unwhitened. If it is red, let it be unreddened. If it is black, let it be unblackened. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Say this 3 times over, and blow into the eye. Gah! Okay. Dan, are we on? I haven't had a Blame It on Eric Carl Anderson book in my book haul for a while, but here's one. The Old Man and His Son by... Oh my God, I'm getting tired of looking up pronunciations. I gotta stop buying so much translated stuff, hey? Okay, I can't find any help online, so I will do my best. I don't even know what that character is. What is that character? It's not an O. If it's an O, Heoin, Brew, there it is on the title page. What the hell character is that? So this is a novel from the Faroe Islands, which I have been interested in for some nerdy reason, and I'll get to that in a minute, but okay. Google Translate doesn't have it, so I'll just do my best. Heoin Brew. Somebody can help me out. The Old Man and His Sons. Eric had a holiday on the Faroe Islands last year, maybe, and I can't remember if he read this book before he went or when he was there. I don't even know if I know for sure that he finished it, but that's where I first heard of it. I got interested in the Faroe Islands for no particular good reason, just surfing around. Before I even really got heavily back into reading about 4 or 5 years ago, I kind of almost at random decided I wanted to know everything there was to know about the Faroe Islands, and I found a novel by an American writer set in the Faroe Islands, which I read, didn't much care for, and that's kind of where I stopped. But hearing Eric talk about this novel, I bought it, and here it is. So it's set on the Faroe Islands about 70 years ago. Brew died in 1987. He was about 86. It was his pen name, so I can pronounce his real name. His real name was Hans Jakob Jakobsen, a Faroese novelist and translator. He's considered the most important Faroese writer of his generation. If I didn't already say, it's translated from the Faroese by John F. West. And I won't try to read the opening paragraph because it's got too many words I don't know how to pronounce, but I'm looking forward to giving this one a try. Finally, one that doesn't look so intimidating in the pronunciation department, Drifting Home by Chris Lee. This is by a Korean-American writer and written in English. 2012. This is a short story collection about the lives of Koreans. Some of the stories are set in Korea. The author was born in Korea but lives in the States, and some of them are set in America. Oh, and Chris Lee, as of the publication of this particular book, divided her time between South Korea and the United States. I don't know anything else about Chris Lee. I shall report back. Next is a tiny collection of poems and stories by the Welsh writer, the Anglo-Welsh writer, Emer Humphreys. The Rigors of Inspections, Poems and Stories, and look at the size of it compared to a regular-sized book. It is teeny tiny, and I bought it online for like $2 or something, brand new. I am reading a novel by him now. I've been reading it slowly and luxuriantly for about 3 months. The Best of Friends, which I am absolutely loving. And I'm just really interested in him. He has a lot of gay characters in his fiction, but apparently he's not gay. I'm still waiting for Charlotte of Tired Mama Tries to Read to explain all it to me, but Emer Humphreys is still alive at the age of 101. Yeah, he was born in 1919. Oh, and this is from the Corgi series, which is described as the best of Welsh writing in English, edited by Miek Stevens. I will want to investigate if there's more in this series. Obviously there was, and can I still get them? And the last one is, I think, another short story collection, Writing on Water by Maggie Harris. Maggie Harris is a Caribbean writer. I don't know a darn thing about her. Well, that is freaking bizarre. On the back, all it says about Maggie Harris is that she was the Caribbean winner of the Commonwealth Short Story Prize in 2014. And that story is in this collection. And that is the only thing about her. But when I opened the first page, there is a lengthy blurb. Okay, I think she's from Guyana. But this lengthy blurb is by Sharon Miller. And then there is a paragraph-long biographical write-up about Sharon Miller. And then another long blurb by another person, Janet, I don't know how to pronounce her name. And she gets a long blurb, but all the author gets is like one sentence. That's ridiculous. Okay, anyway. So, a Guyanese writer named Maggie Harris. Yet this book was published in Wales. So I don't know if she is Welsh Guyanese. She was born in Guyana, but lives in Britain. Alright, well, if I ever get around to reading this, I'm not sure I love the cover. Maybe I do. This was one, I found a whole bunch of short story collections online that were like $2 or $3 each, brand new, and I snatched every one of them up, sight unseen, didn't know a thing about them, and this is maybe one of the more obscure ones. So, this video is 37 minutes, almost 38 minutes, unedited. Because of all the pronunciation research I had to do. Should get edited down to under 20 minutes, I bet, but wow. Thanks for watching.